Good morning. Testing out the Pivo thing today. It is getting ready to rain cats and dogs here in St. Louis, Missouri. So I thought today I would make some bread. I'm a little sad today. But first, what are we thinking about the dress? Yay? Nay? This is one of my finds at Plato's Closet. I think it was maybe $5. It's got the ruffle. I've got it pinned because it was a little revealing, but I think it's cute. I was in a dress mood today. Was gonna go work in the front yard, and after working in the backyard yesterday, it was like I just needed to take a break. Sorry for the lighting. You know how I feel about the lighting in my kitchen. Dislike it greatly. Let's see if the machine wants to follow me. I changed the speed on it so it would work a little bit better. Gonna grab some coffee here. I need some more coffee. Got things I want to say. And what are we thinking about this hair? It's growing like I want it to. I've got it parted down the middle today. It is a little darker. But are we liking it? Or do I need to do something completely different to it? What do you think? It's still kind of growing out from how my gal cut it. These pieces that she cut that I didn't know why she cut, they're finally growing out. But what are we thinking? We liking it? I still think I want to go a little darker, maybe. I don't know. Again, in this lighting, nothing is right. I was going to go buy new light bulbs the other day, and I didn't. And I just need a whole other setup in my kitchen. How are you, though? How's your Monday starting off? I'm Kitryn Marie, reside in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach, teach a variety of art and communication classes, published author When He Had Her. It's available on Amazon. I teach group painting classes. I teach how to put a vision board together. I'm based in life coaching, and I business coach creative-minded women who want to start side hustles. Baking and cooking is a side hustle. And if I was on a hunk of land and I had a farm stand, I'd be baking up a storm. And I'd be selling my sauce. I saw I have one tomato already. Plant isn't very big. Plant's only about that big. Last year they got to be huge, huge. Jungle size plants. But anyway, I'm baking some bread today, trying to get my mind in the right frame of reference. A very good high school friend passed away yesterday, and for the past 3 days, actually, I've been a little on the sad side, kind of knowing what was going to be happening. So when you hear me talk about taking care of yourself and living your life and doing all the things that you need to do so you have a better life and it adds longevity. This is the reason why. He retired 5 weeks ago, was diagnosed with an illness, and sadly, he passed away yesterday morning. He was maybe 2 years older than me, and I'll be 65. So all you guys out there who want your women to take better care of yourself, don't be angry at her because she wants you to be around. She wants you to take care of your health and your life. I figured making bread, it's warm in the house. The weather's been so weird, so rather wonky. I like it when it's about 80 degrees. Yesterday, I think the high was maybe 70. But it was good to work out in the yard. Would have been a great day to go to the ball game yesterday. I did see my cousin. She was at the ball game. When you get to heaven, what's your theory? What's your principle that you kind of think about? With my friend passing yesterday, I thought about the young men that we lost when we were in high school. And how that I'm sure they were there at the gate welcoming him in. when you're in high school and you think you have this whole life ahead of you, and you don't think about your mortality. And we lost a couple kids back to back during our high school years. And depending on how you feel about faith and religion and spirituality and having a heaven, I believe that when you are sick and when you are dying, your higher power sends somebody down to the earth to get you. And the veil is thin, the door is open, and whomever is there to greet you, to take you back to the place that you believe is there. I believe that when you get to that place, all the people that you lost and all the people that you were close to, they're all there. They're all waiting. The running joke always was my gram cooked for everybody, and anytime somebody passed in our family, we always just jokingly said there's one more now at that table, because there are more of my family that is gone than it is left here on this earth. And we're the ones that are left to deal with all the memories, where in that spiritual world, they're living it up. And there's no aches, there's no pains, there's no sadness, there's nothing but, elated joy. And my mom, who was a semi-professional singer before she passed away, she's singing right there with the angels. I also think, when you get up to those pearly gates, and if you hear my voice kind of quiver, I'm really shaken up and taken back by this, especially since I was so concerned about my person's health and how he was taking care of himself. So if you hear my voice quiver just a little bit with my friend's passing yesterday, and then I'll get on a funnier note, because I heard from a bunch of different people yesterday that I normally wouldn't hear from. But I always think when you are in front of your higher power, your God, your dude, your dudette, whomever it is that you believe in, what do you think they're going to ask you? As your life is being played before you, and all of the deeds that you have done, good, bad, indifferent, and they start mentioning people's names. And to humor myself, I kind of thought, will God bring up my name to this person? And how did I make any kind of impact in his life? Maybe 2 weeks ago, because my dad had died from, liver cancer, and turned 59, retired, and then died 3 months later, I know that whole scenario. And it's just heart-wrenching. You can't imagine the anguish that the family feels knowing they're watching somebody lose their life right in front of them, and there's nothing that they can do. So 2 weeks ago, I had sent him just a little message through Facebook. And our paths would cross over the years, and like I said, he was my high school friend. And I sent him a message. I wanted him to know. I didn't want to put anything on Facebook, but I wanted him to know my feelings, my regards, my good intent with whatever is left in this life. Make the most out of it, and don't pay attention too much that those are going to tell you stories about how to do this or what you should have did, or just enjoy life and hold on to your faith. So, and in knowing all that, I have that peace and comfort. And it's like when my dad was sick and dying, I was right there every step of the way. I never wanted to question, I should have did more, or I could have did more. I was there. I watched it from the beginning to the very end. And that very much changes who you are. It takes so much out of you when you are the caregiver of somebody you love. But then, as I was thinking about all the people that were going to meet my friend when he got to the gates, and who was it that took him from this earth up to the heavens, I thought about all the people in my life that I have loved and all the people that have dismissed all of my efforts. And when their life gets flashed before them and God says, how did Kit impact your life? Let's talk about this person in your life. How did you regard the way that I cared for you, the way that I loved you, the way I wanted to protect you, the way I wanted to bring joy and enlightenment in your life? Now, just not me, but think about all the people in your life that have tried to do those same things. What will you say? Because you're certainly not going to lie, and you're certainly not going to dismiss or avoid what the higher power is asking you. How have these people all played such an impact on your life, and how did you treat them when you were all on this earth? All those things are playing in my mind, because we all get those moments, I like to think, after we are gone, and my pact with God is to live to be 116. But when we get up there and our lives are flashed before our eyes, how do you regard the ones that cared for you and loved you and wanted the best for you? And if you were rude and ignorant and avoidant and dismissive and better than thou, while that person was suffering, while that person was trying to do the best that they could do to have you in their life, and you discarded them, you cast them aside, you downplayed the role in your life that was sent to you. So yesterday, as all these things were, going through my mind, and I'm thinking I need to call my grade school, high school best friend. I knew she had just had a birthday, and we don't really talk a lot anymore. You grow up, your lives change. You don't have the same things in common anymore. And especially if there's been animosity through the years, you don't wish anybody anything, ill regard, ill fate. It's just people do things what they need to do at the time of their life and how they do things. So I knew I needed to call her, and just as I was getting ready to call her, my phone rang, and I knew it was her. I could see it, and I didn't even say hello. I said, I was just getting ready to pick up the phone to call you. And some friendships, you don't miss a beat. You just pick up right where you left off. And that is the way her and I friendship has been since we were 11 years old. It doesn't matter how many years go by. It doesn't matter who we're involved with or what parts of the world, because she does travel. You just pick up right where you left off. And I was on the phone with her for over an hour, and she was going to get a hold of our other friend, my other best friend, who was a guy. I mean, him and I were inseparable, grade school, high school. I was his third wheel. And then I said, well, I guess I'll call our other friend. And then I was like, well, now I got to call the high school boyfriend. And I have all these things that play in my head about him. But I'm like, well, he needs to know what's going on too. So I sent my little text, everything. And, I'm like, hey, so-and-so passed away. I know we were all really close when we were all in school. And I had the hub house. My house on Marceline Terrace. There wasn't a Friday, a Saturday night when I did not have 45 of my friends on the front porch. My Graham never had to worry about where I was because we were all right there. And they all knew my Graham. Everybody was welcome. So as I'm texting this person and that person and the high school boyfriend, he comes back with, hey, how are you? That is so sad. Yeah, keep me posted on everything. He goes, what have you been up to? Now, mind you, I have crossed paths with him over the last, 20 years. When you work in the restaurant industry and, you're a bartender or server, people that, especially in South St. Louis, apples don't fall far from the tree, and people really don't go very far. And throughout my life working, I have always run into all of my high school people. And that is a St. Louis thing. Where'd you go to high school? And I went to Cleveland High School, graduated in 1979. So I'm like, I'm working. I said, it's hell getting old, LOL. I said, I'm just trying to maintain life. I said, I wrote a book. It was published last July, that is one of my greatest accomplishments, writing that book and getting it published. On top of the fact that my 3 children are pretty successful. That is another milestone in my life. And although they have been responsible for their own lives, I birthed those children. They are good humans. So the accomplishment of having 3 great kids and being able to write a book, that's a win-win for me. So he comes back with, you didn't happen to mention my name in that book. And I said, no, not this one. I go, but trust me, buddy, you will be in one of them. And he just came back and laughed. So this morning I'm like trying to get my head in the right frame of mind. Like I said, I was going to go work in the front yard, and I'm like, I just don't have the energy or the effort, and I'm sad. I am sad this morning. A young person who's taken too long an illness that just came out of nowhere and took his life. So whatever you're doing today, stop and think about your own mortality. Think about the people that love you and care for you and want you to have a really good, long, happy life. The thing about this particular friend, he loved to travel. He made the most out of his life. And I give him kudos for that. And the one time when I ran into him, I was at doing an art and craft fair, and he was with this really cute gal. And he says, oh, this is my high school friend, Kit. He said she's an artist, she's a content creator, and she's a writer. And the girl that he was with, she was like, oh, wow. And jokingly, he had said, yeah, some of us did really well out of that high school we went to. And I laughed. And before I get off here, I want to tell you my favorite story about this particular person. He was in the Air Force. And we had stayed in contact. Like I said, he was just a friend. He was really the closer friend to my guy friend in grade school and high school. And if you notice, I'm not giving names because anybody who follows me, who knows my life story, you know who I'm talking about. So I had stayed in contact with the guy when he was in the Air Force, and he had gotten some gal pregnant, and he was the perpetual bachelor. In my mind, I knew he was never going to settle down. Good-looking guy, tall, athletic, light eyes, blonde hair, smelled really good all the time, groomed impeccably. And we were probably 2-3 years out of high school. I wasn't married yet, and he rings the doorbell. My house on Marceline Terrace again, rings the doorbell. He's in his Air Force uniform, and he's got a baby on his hip. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, I'm home on leave. He said, is your grandma home? I said, yeah, Gram's home. I said, she's in the kitchen. And he said, I came by to show Gram my baby. And I just started busting out laughing because you would have had to have known my Gram. Anybody that crossed that front porch, they were just family. They were just family. So anyway, he came in and he sat in the kitchen with my Gram, and my Gram had that baby on her lap, and they laughed and they talked, and he talked about being in the Air Force and being home. That is my most favorite memory of this individual, and I will carry that with me for the rest of my life. But for today, for tomorrow, be happy, be blessed, be thankful for everything. Remember, fate turns on a dime, and it is up to you to decide what side of that coin you want to be on. I will be here this morning making some bread. I've got an olive oil bread recipe, although I'm out of olive oil. I'm going to use vegetable oil instead of sugar. I'm going to use some honey. I've got some active yeast. perfect weather to be baking, to be deep in thoughts, to be deep in prayer. But I'm Kitryn Marie, an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach, teach a variety of art and communication classes, published author when he had her available on Amazon. If you're interested in taking any of my classes, reach out, kitrynmarie@gmail.com. Have a great, wonderful day wherever you are. Really be thankful and be blessed for all the experiences and adventures that you've been able to have in your life because of certain people. And you can't be mad at those certain people because they want you to have longevity in your own personal life. So y'all take care. And I will see you real soon. Bye.